Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Larry Ray Hardin, Hardin, calling you from San Diego, California.
Wow. What's the temperature out there? I gotta know. I'm jealous.
Well, you shouldn't be because we're having unusual weather here. It's been raining. It's kind of
Yes.
cold. It's probably in the mid 60s, but it's been raining unusually a lot. But we need rain here in California, Southern California.
Cool, 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 cool. Rainy, rainy, but at least it's warm, you know? So I
Yeah,
said, huh?
yeah, in the 60s. Yeah.
Cool. So I wanted to say, can you tell me about your past leading up into your present?
Yes, ma'am. I can. It's to make things short. It's we all have a story to tell. My story goes way back. When I say way back, it goes back to Kentucky. Growing up in the creeks and the hills, and sometimes you call them hollers. If people don't understand that, they can. A holler is usually out of West Virginia or towards the mountains. Um, Left, joined the military. From the military, wanted to become an RP, which I did, which is religious program specialist. Worked with chaplains, and after that, during that time, I got married and got out of the Navy. I served most of that time with the Marine Corps, with the Marines, and then got into the federal prisons, not as a criminal, but as a correctional officer, and started working with them. Then switch over to immigration, INS, the immigration as adjudicator. Then, of course, during that time, I waited for DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, to contact me, which I thought would never happen. Very difficult agency to get into at that time. Uh, but they did, and I've been blessed throughout my career and almost 24 years working narcotics, street narcotics. Street narcotics was my home, Miss Kimberly. That's where I felt comfortable working the streets. People say the homeless, the prostitutions, they're people like anybody else, except they lost their way in life, and we struggle with that. And but these actually have lost their way in life. Is it very dangerous? Yes, it is. Um, for them to live on the streets, and they have to survive out there, and it's mean. So I worked with them as informants, and after 24 years, I had two private investigators reach out for me, and they say, "Hey, Larry, you need to write a book about your experience on the border, on the Mexican border in Arizona." I spent about 6 years on and off in Mexico, working with the federales and the cartels, and not working with the cartels, but targeting them, and they target me too for DEA, and then from there, South America.
Can
Yeah.
you explain? I'm about to plug this in because I don't want us to go out, but can you explain to the people while I plug this in what what is DEA and what is your criteria? What was your job description?
Sure. A lot of good people out there, they do not know what DEA stands for. Sometimes they think, well, is that, drugs? Is that, you know, agency and so on. But it's called Drug Enforcement Administration. It came about during President Nixon. They were having a tremendous amount of problems with cocaine going into Florida. If you've ever watched the movie called Scarface, uh, that is an excellent movie. It tells you exactly what was going on with Pablo Escobar out of Colombia and working with the other cartels, and how cocaine was entering into Florida and, of course, out of Louisiana. And so it created, and then later on, I got hired to work as a special agent. My primary job was at that time. I was focusing on methamphetamine. It was a new phenomenon, more or
Tell
less, in
me
the
before
streets
you
of
go
San
any
Diego.
further.
Yeah.
Methamphetamine. When did methamphetamine started to become a problem for the DEA?
Actually, methamphetamine goes way back. It just became a problem, as you just mentioned, with DEA. Now, from my experience, because when I started DEA, it was in the late 1980s for me, but it began before that, especially with the bikers. The bikers that are motorcycle gangs and so on. The Hispanics, the Mexicans, were not trafficking as much. But now they took over the cartel. I mean, the cartel has took over the methamphetamine. So methamphetamine, we used to enter labs here in California, out here in San Diego. We had a meth lab. We had meth problems, which is out of control. It wasn't the marijuana. Okay, that was, of course, out of Northern California, or LSD. It was the meth. And I can tell you now that meth is one of the nastiest drugs that a human being can take. If they're going to do a drug, I'd rather for them to not do drugs, but smoke a joint, doobie, or what do you want to call it, marijuana, even heroin. Shoot heroin into your arms is a crime. Marijuana will definitely lead into other things in life, just like alcohol, man. It really does. Here in California, I can tell you on the freeways, they're crazy and they're wild. Whether it's marijuana, look, we're going to talk about prescription drugs. Oxycontin, Vicodin, those are more dangerous than the marijuana when they're overprescribed. And that's what I was dealing with for the last 5 years. Actually, more or less about 5 years before I retired. And I wrote a book about it. I am writing books about it. The first book, I hope it's called Path of the Devil. It's in Spanish. Habla español. They call it, se llama Camino del Diablo. The Path of the Devil is not about the devil. The book is about people, okay? Trafficking children, trafficking women. Yeah, I learned so much working outside this country. Women up here, someone does something to them in a bad way, they can yell rape or sexual encounters or whatever, and they feel protected. But across that border or in other countries, man, I've seen it, what women have gone through down there and children. And now they have come across this border. But when you talk about the drugs itself, methamphetamine is one nasty. I've seen the human body more or less. You can tell by looking at a meth user, their teeth, their face, their eyes, the paranoia. It's like any other drug, except this is bad. It's eating them from inside out. If you start seeing sores or marks on a person's body, usually inside it's worse. Okay, because it's like a pimple, like big boils with all this pus. Well, that's what methamphetamine does. And I'm no expert on it, but I can tell you that when I arrest someone that's on methamphetamine, it's much more different than a cocaine or a marijuana or heroin.
Well, tell me about, do you know, as being a retired DEA agent, what the chemicals are in methamphetamine for those who is curious to know?
Well, that's a good question, and I wasn't prepared for that. As an agent, we break it down as an agent. I'm an agent that pack a weapon. I'm the guy that put cuffs on you. All right. Mm-hmm. We do have our DEA diversion. We do have our diversion is people that target doctors, pharmaceutical companies. One of my first cases was a nurse. Her and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was making methamphetamine, and she was working at a major hospital. Can you believe that? I wrote about my experience with her. Not one, but several nurses that I encountered had boyfriends making methamphetamine, and they were working in hospitals. Okay. We have a chemist. We have our DEA chemists, which will come out and analyze. They take a look at that drug, what's inside of that, the glassware. In other words, as an agent, we have so many resources that we can look into. We have, like I mentioned, DEA, the chemists, their laboratory. We also have informants, people that are expertise on that. But my job, which I love very much, is taking that doctor that's prescribing that medication, okay? Because if you look at the pill bottle, the bottle itself has an RX on it, okay? That RX is a license that's controlled by DEA, okay? Diversion program, all right? Mm-hmm. Doctors do not want to lose that. If doctors lose that, they lose their narcotics prescription, okay? So your audience out there, if there's a doctor listening, he knows what I'm talking about, okay? When you overprescribe or give too much to a patient, let's say a patient weighs 400 pounds and he has another patient that's weighing 100 pounds. You cannot prescribe the same dosage to that same guy that's 400 pounds that you give to the person's 100 pounds. There's going to be a bad reaction. I'm not a doctor, but it's common sense. It really is. But man, once we come back, it's all about the money. It's incredible, from whatever you read in life and understand, it's always come back to the money. What's a cartel or the doctors? they said, Larry, what do you think about cartels? When I came back from Colombia and I started working the pharmaceutical, the doctors wearing their white lab coats, it seemed like they had their own cartel, but it was legalized, if you understand what I'm talking about, in the medical community.
It's organized.
Well, yes, it is. It's a medical community, CCP, like the COVID that broke out in the United States. That's another. And American people finally woke up to this. We trust. We trust our media, social media. We trust. Okay. If you're going to trust someone, you better verify it first. You better do your homework. In that great book that was written many, many years ago, ma'am, it made it very clear. There's some chapters in there. You know what? Don't condemn someone until you verify it and make sure if it's true. If it's not true, then deal with it. But we were misled, and we followed the path, and now we're still paying the price for it. You know,
If you were president of the United States of America, what would you do to wipe this just big pandemic or whatever out of a
good question.
United States? Yeah,
Good
you look
question.
like a president.
This is a good question. You know, let me give you my experience. Give you two experiences. When I joined DEA, I was involved with a search warrant in Los Angeles, California. I'm a country guy. I grew up with a background of Southern Baptist, Catholic, you name it. Anybody that loves my faith, which is Jesus Christ. I hope I can be okay saying that on your show.
That's okay.
I couldn't understand, ma'am, to see a wall or see things laying around that was full of blood, and they were worshiping some kind of idol or whatever. Then years later, I, stand over the death of my friend. I was with him for about 3 days and couldn't understand. I learned one thing, that this war on drugs, ma'am, there is no war on drugs. You're talking to a professional here. I asked that same question when I got down to Colombia. I seen what FARC is a revolutionary, your Colombian audience or anyone, they were protecting certain fields out there for the cocaine, for their cocaine labs. And my question I asked one of the agencies down in Colombia, we can finish this war. We can stop it now, but they won't let us, man. When I say they, the government of both countries, I mean, it's just way too much money. They represent the bad guys from the cartel. They got lawyers from Harvard, Yale. Once again, we go back to the money. As a president of the United States, gosh, what a dream. First thing you do, you got to bring God. Yes, you got to bring God. I remember going to the classroom, standing up and pledging allegiance with my right hand over my heart. I remember praying. I remember when John Kennedy was killed. I'm old enough to remember that. Right away, we went to the church. We took the whole class over to a church, and we took it seriously with morals and values. We treat women. This the sexuality thing, this whatever a person wants to be. If they want to go into a closet and they want to do, or when I say a closet, they want to live that life in their home, they can live that life in their home, but not there for government, not politicians go out and shove it down our throat. Like abortion, man. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know what it's about. I mean, I've seen a woman losing a baby because she really wanted to keep that baby. But then, of course, another one gets aborted, And, you got to have a conscience out there. And so you're asking me to be the president of the United States, you got to bring something back to our young people. And those are the moral values of in the classroom, of going over each one. And it doesn't hurt when it says, why you should not murder. Explain that to the children. You just can't go out and kill someone. Why you go out and hurt a child, a young child? You follow me? Take a small child that doesn't have a clue. Ma'am, I've seen it with my own eyes down in South America. And of course, it's widespread in the United States. These kids coming across this border into America, this is the worst place they ever want to come to. It really is. Because in this country, we got so much money and time and money. Children have no idea what they're doing. All they know is they're making this guy feel good. Okay? They don't know what sex is. They have no clue, except they just look up at that guy standing there looking down at them and say, are you feeling good? Or whatever, or make them feel good. And that individual is not someone that's from the homeless, ma'am. He's not homeless. He's not poor. This is some man that has a lot of money. Okay. So yeah, you're talking to a guy that's seen a lot of crap in my life, pardon my language, but I have seen a lot of goodness too, man. And it's out there. I think looking at you this morning, talking to you, I feel like that your program that you're doing, your radio show, that you're reaching a lot of good people. And so once again, I am the President of the United States. Bring our faith, God. We all love God. Muslims, you name it. Everybody loves God, but we worship him differently. That's okay. He had 12 guys. He had 12 guys that followed him around for the 3 years he was here, and they gave him a hard time. And all 12 couldn't understand what was going on, you know? And they seen it with their own eyes. That is who we are as Americans. That's who we are as people, living this great planet of ours.
Well
Sorry,
said.
ma'am.
No, no need to apologize. Do you think that they're building chemicals in meth to keep the consumer coming back? Like they're making new chemicals, the chemists that we don't know about, that's making them more addicted than back in the day when meth was out before the 80s.
That's right. That is absolutely. Actually, they was playing around with LSD. Meth was something that was going way back into Germany during the World War II. Prior before that, just like cocaine, turn of our century, cocaine was used. People snuffed up their nose. But when you focus on methamphetamine, I know where you're calling me from, and I know what politicians are doing up there. You can't do that, man. You just can't open and you can't give it to society. Just like the marijuana thing. You want to control it as a medical use, it's got to be controlled. But let every person go out there and go into a store and get a joint. Now, the marijuana is not the same it was 20, 30 years ago. Okay.
I
The marijuana today is not. It's totally different. It's much more, it's powerful. When I say powerful, it really puts your mind in a different place where you probably think you're seeing pink cows jumping off a moon. You start doing things that's not normal a lot. It's not like Woodstock back then. People listen to music. Today, when they got so much on the social media, child pornography, okay to rape a woman. If you see her, take her in the daytime, throw her in a bush or behind a car, and no one's going to do anything about it. To them, that's probably normal. It's not normal. It's not normal at all. When a person is not on drugs, hey, listen, you talk about methamphetamine. I'll tell you another nasty drug too. It's Oxycontin, okay? Vicodin. These narcotic that the doctors are controlling. Some doctors, it's about the money, okay? That is one very addictive drug also. I've seen people lose everything they have because of Oxycontin or Vicodin or another narcotic.
I wanted to say that did you hear about the story that the guy that was 73 years old in Arizona, he was at the borderline between Mexico and Arizona. He shot
Mhm.
a 48-year-old illegal immigrant and they shipped him to California where the judge was Hispanic, the guards were Hispanic, but let me finish. So what happened was they kept him in jail. I don't know if he's still in jail, but I did a story on it. Now, following that, a Hispanic mother, these are the bad Hispanics. I'm not talking about the good Hispanics. So a Hispanic mother sat up there and took her fingers, her and her two brothers, her one brother and one cousin, and shoved it down a 2-year-old, her child's throat until she threw up pink stuff and
Mm.
said that she was possessed by the devil, and they kept squeezing her throat until she just died. And she's in jail with them, but before she went to jail, she got on Facebook and said it was the fate of God. And some people from the churches that were Hispanic said yes, they agree with her what she did. And what is your opinion on that?
Well, let's go back. Yeah. When you ask for my opinion, it's my personal, it's not, it's my experience, okay? Our
Mhm.
professional experience. My opinion is something that we all have. But when you go back to that border of that rancher shooting that individual, California or Washington, if someone came into your home, let's say he just entered your property, okay, you've got discretion here. What does he look like? Does he have a weapon in his hand? And so on. You yell, you say, get off my property. We don't know the circumstances, but the judicial system, which is to me, it's collapsing all around us, okay? You've got lawyers out there and judges making the decisions. Okay. Interpret the law. No. Okay. They can't use their opinion. Okay. They use what our founding fathers provide. Our home, our property is our home. It's our castle. That's where we go to come in a safe place. That rancher, okay, let the agents do their jobs, but a lot of times the agents lose their case to an assistant U.S. attorney, United States attorney, which is federal, or a district attorney, which is state or county. Okay, they make their decisions what they want to do, make an example out of him. Okay, the people that are coming across our border, I know. I spent 6 years. I spent 3 years in Colombia. I've been back and forth in borders. You're right. There's some really great people out there, whether Hispanics or from Africa or from whatever. I met African people in Spain, come across the Gibraltar there, ma'am. Those young women that coming across that Gibraltar on those boats, I know, I see with my own eyes. Okay, a lot of them speak perfect English. Their dream is come to America, come across that border. And I don't want to get carried away because I was there last year, and a lot of those women that on that boat, ma'am, they don't know what rape is. Have they gave sex? Oh yeah, if they want to survive on a boat with 40 other guys, it's going to happen. They know that, but they're not. They have no freedom, that kind of freedom that the American women have. Okay, but that rancher. Let me get back to the rancher, which is so important about coming and so on. The people that are in our country right now, okay, are no doubt. I've talked to Border Patrol agents. I've talked to several people in other agencies. We got a serious problem. That rancher was defending his property. I don't know the whole circumstances behind that, but for him to shoot someone on his property, that's not the first time someone enters property. If you look back on it, it probably broke in his house, probably stole a lot of things. Rancher had enough, okay, chances are, and he shot the person. I'm a rancher. My gut feeling, if we only know the whole story without listening to the social media or the judicial system, okay, when you come back, and you just mentioned about this woman pushing those pills, ma'am. They do it in all places. In South America, they take women that are 60, 70, 80 years old, and I'm not trying to be graphic with you, but they are. They'll push that heroin, okay, up inside the vagina of a woman, or in her anus. They'll find way. They shove it anywhere they can, and children are a very good place where they can do that also down their throat. There was something there that she wanted to get out of her daughter's throat before somebody could find it. Okay, it is a sad, sad world. Okay, and when I say sad, children have. That's what he said in the Bible. When you do that to a child, shame on you. Children are innocent, man. They truly are. Uh, and when you hear a child kill another person, another human being, that's the life they have grew up in. Okay, they grew up in a life where they probably saw their daddy, uncle, somebody in the family take a life of another human being, or they were shown how to do that. There was a great leader one time. Okay, he made it very clear. He said, "You get to the minds of the children. What are they doing today to our children? What are they doing now when they come home and say, Mama, I don't want to do this. I want to be something else, or have no regard from a woman or a young boy. Uh, there's so much stories out there that people should read, which are true. The World War II, why American soldiers went in and killed a lot of young men, Germans, young soldiers. They were 12, 13 years old. They had no choice. Okay. Once again, that little child, what they did to that child. There is no justice there, man. Not on this earth, anyhow. But justice, it will come. Yeah.
Tell me about, do you know about this secret organization that is trying to crack down on the crime in New York? Because what's happening is they said, how do you kidnap 20,000 children
That's right.
and hide them? Did you watch that
No,
commercial?
but I have. There's programs out there called like Saving America, our children. There's a lot of military people involved in this now, retired military. Uh, they're picking up where the government's dropping it. In other words, they're going out and help find children. But man, once you take a child away from his mom, or his family, his parents, and you keep that child in an environment where there's just so much filth and so much crime, that child will begin to start learning, think it's okay. It's okay to live this kind of life, you know, and that's when the child's mind has been corrupted, evil. And it'll take a lifetime to take that child back and try to get it back where its morals and values. That's what's going on, man. I'm going to go point back what's happened to our children today. You go after our children. That's why parents are fighting back really hard. You go after those young minds. I know. I have a sister. She got really upset when her children, her grandchildren, came home, and they want to be a girl. They want to become a girl, And she said, "What are you talking about?" And she explained to him, "This is what you have. This is that's who you are. This is what you're made of." You know. And or a little girl that wants to be something else. But once you remove the very important things that God has given that young woman, she can't get it back, man. When she become adult.
I done had 3 C-sections and I still have pain sometimes from moving around. If I moved around the wrong way, I can only imagine. They don't have a choice when they're a child. I can only imagine how they feel when they change their sex organs around and
Sure.
try. That it's just, everybody should know that that's not an easy thing to do,
No, man.
especially as a child.
Yeah.
So I have another question. So tell me about something that a situation where you busted. Like, tell me the situation in like under 5 minutes where you busted somebody for either meth, cocaine, pills like Oxycontin, Opanas,
Yeah.
whatever. Tell me something from your book.
Okay. I hope people get a chance, man. I'm not trying to promote books or anything like that. I hope people read the stories. There's 4 books out there, and they're all true. And I had to go through DEA headquarters in Washington, D.C., because it was tough to do that when you write true stories. I'm not a guy that's going to write anything that's going to be fictional. Okay, this is going to be true. So I'm getting the feedback from the books, and people cannot believe. They said, "Did it really happen?" They went through fact checking. I said, "Yeah, it really happened in my life. It happens every day." Let me give you a comparison about when I arrest someone. You said bust them. Uh, there's times I want to bust them. You bet I do, but you can't do that. We're legally confined. Bad guy, he can hurt someone all day long, but when you want to squeeze the bad guy for what he just killed or what he just did to a woman, you cannot do that. You'll lose your job. Police officers right now are under a lot of constraint when you're dealing with bad guys, and bad guys know, hey, you can't touch me. But more, they can go out and touch anybody, and it's a victim. The heroin user, okay, is a very passive. It's not a good drug. None of them are good drugs, okay. They're easily controlled when they're stoned out of their mind. Okay, they want to sleep. They just they're like jello. They're like, and so on. Only time they get kind of stupid or violent is when they come down the craving thing. It's like when you're starving, you're hungry, food. No matter what, you want some food in your stomach. Okay, you're going to get some. Might not be healthy. It's same with addiction. Okay, when you're addicted to a drug, but it's worse. That's the heroin. The marijuana, just want to trip out on some music and crazy lyrics of a song. Likes to eat and so on. Once he's stoned out his mind, hey man, whatever. You control that, or hey, whatever, or listen, get into sexual. They have no idea. They can't do it. They can't. It's just nobody can't. Just like being drunk, right? But their mind is playing games. That's how the old devil enters into our minds. That's where all these things are created, man. Of treating all kind of evil, suppressed. But once again, LSD is a very crazy drug. But the methamphetamine, cocaine, shoot up their nose. They do anything they want to. Okay, and they get a little hyper. They get crazy too, but not as methamphetamine. Methamphetamine to me it just left a scar on me because I've seen how it's so addictive, so powerful. When I say powerful, the human body, when it gets agitated, it just goes off and it gets crazy. It develops a lot of strength real quick, and it's not really that. It's just our body's really confused how to react. Yeah.
What person, can you talk about what person that you actually arrested and got your community of DEA agents together to arrest them?
Oh man, there's been so many
Yeah,
political, political,
one.
yeah, just political figures. I share this. I put that in the book. She was probably in her 80s. She was all due respect to her. She was one of the leaders for the cornbread mafia. She's usually out of the South and a little Vegas and so on. Mafia, cornbread mafia. And she was standing at the door. And when we hit the house, when we knocked down the door, that is one moment I remember. She stood there and looked at me, and I put her down on the floor, and really quick, really fast, because I don't want anybody to get hurt. You know, someone that's old or someone young, if you don't take control, they can hurt you. You know, so I put her down on the floor. But once I got on the floor, I'm glad I didn't break any bones. But I picked her up, and I had my handcuffs on her back, and she was just a very nice little old lady. But let me tell you something, man. Will she kill you? She'll kill you in a heartbeat. You know, most nice people out there down in South America. I met some really nice people. I met them up here too. You know, they would take your life without blinking an eye, man. Okay, not a problem. So that's one of many. I mean, I met a guy that his track record was it had been over 40 something kills in his life. I just want to meet with him. Of course, he's all control. Okay, no way in the world I can meet this guy by myself. He's a professional. He's very good. And I met him. 1 second, my wife's coming in. I didn't realize it was going this long.
Doing she can.
No, she's gonna exercise.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
So I don't mean that. She didn't know. She had no idea. I could look up, tell her, hey, Kathy, can I say this on your radio?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Kathy, I'm doing a live interview. Can you give me a few more minutes, son? Okay. All right. Be real quiet. Just kind of sneak out the back door. Okay. Now let's know what's going on.
Love it. Oh,
she
man.
said to me, wow, that's the first time she's ever been submissive to me. She said, okay, honey. She went out the door. But anyway, you know, I have this is who I am. And I hope your audience realize that. There is a nature of me that I thank God every day, but there is another side of me that, you know, I never met you before, except I see you on the screen now. If I see you in real life and I see someone just trying to hurt you and you don't know me, you know, I'm many. There's many people like me out there, man, that are walking around, and sooner or later, enough is going to be enough. And I sure feel sorry for the bad people out there that are hurting other people, tearing your buildings down, destroying your courthouses, just killing police officers, ma'am, that's going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end.
Question. So weapons. Let's get into your opinion on weapons. Being a retired DEA agent, do you think that people should have weapons on them, or do you think that there should be more police force with better benefits and not being burnt out, and more police officers on the force? What is your opinion?
Okay, my opinion. I was teaching criminal justice for a while at the university and also in Spain at the military base. I will say everyone should learn, okay, how to use a weapon. Okay, that's our founding fathers. When they came over here, I mean, that was one of our constitutions. Okay, we're not going to let anyone come into our homes, okay, and hurt us. They are now, because each state is trying to take our weapons or control that. A weapon is a tool, man. Okay, of course, I'm DEA. I spent a lot of time with weapons, and I've been trained, okay, and I know how to use them. I can tell you and everyone out there, I never, okay. I mean, I use deadly force, but the people that were arrested are still alive, okay? Because you have to know how to use the weapon. And when you pull that weapon, when you expose your weapon, okay, now you open up a whole different issue here, okay? When you expose your weapon to another person on the streets or in your home, you better learn how to use it, okay? Because now you're going to be there are going to be civil lawsuits against you for using deadly force on a person that was high on methamphetamine, just came into the wrong house, which just happened to be yours, while you're eating popcorn with your husband, your children, or whatever, okay? And if you didn't do anything, ma'am, he would take that popcorn out of your lap, okay? And especially your husband or anybody else, and he will begin to abuse, okay? When someone comes to your home, or if you walk up to a car, and that individual, you see he's walking too closely, there's ways that you can stop it really quick. But you have to really mean that, ma'am. You just can't sit there. It's where you stand. It's where you look. It's the way you smile. If you look like you're terrified, which you are, you keep that inside of you, okay? But when someone walk up to you, he's looking at you, you look back straight at him or her, and you smile, okay? Like this is going to be a bad day for both of us. You understand? But if you sit there and start crying and start urinating all over yourself or making a mess, you're no good to yourself. Okay. You're no good to you or anybody that's with you because he's going to take you apart. I'm telling you, man, a lot of people's coming across that. We got some bad people in this country, but we got a lot more people coming up here. The people that's coming across that border, man, whether it's from Africa, those people have been through wars. Okay. They've been tortured, been raped. They know how to live out of garbage cans, man. Okay. They know how to survive. People from South America, where it's Venezuela or anywhere else, they can come across, they can eat your garbage, man. They can sit there and survive on the streets. And can they hurt? They'll hurt you quick. Very humble people. That's another question. Most of your guys that are killed, especially rape other women, comes across very humble until you let your guard down. That 1 second.
Two more questions and then I'm gonna end because I really enjoy this. So, how do you think women should protect themselves? Because I heard that they were putting like chemicals on the doorknobs of the car door, so by the time they get in the car, they'll be passed
Yeah.
out and they can get to them. What do you think a woman should do so that they can be protected from somebody trying to stalk them?
I would tell okay, I'm on your show here just for a brief moment,
Mhm.
but a woman or a guy or whatever can go down to a police station, walk in there and say, look, this, what can I do? They deal with it every day.
Mhm.
You know, down in South America, they call it a date. It's a date drug. It's very effective. Okay. Beautiful woman meets a American. Trust me, American sit there and have a nice drink. Next thing he knows, he wakes up 2 days later in a hotel room. Okay. It happens all the time. Same thing in the United States now. It's here. Okay. It is here. Just go to your police department. Ask them, is there some kind of training? Okay. They'll tell you. They'll tell you what's going on. A social community. They're having some classes on it, how you defend yourself, how to be careful, and so on. In the classroom, even though I'm teaching criminal justice, I spend time talking to the females that are in the classroom. Mr. Hardin, I've been raped. What can I do? I said, there's nothing you can do now except don't let it ever happen. Don't ever let it happen again. And I explained to them there's things that you can do. It's the way you stand. Okay. It's the way you look. It's if your right hand, if you carry your whatever in your right hand, okay, then your left hand is going to be free. So your left hand is always up in front of you. Okay, palms open. Try, for example, if you're out walking around and a dog or an animal runs up to you, it's getting close to you, just kind of put your hand out there in front of you, your left hand. If your right hand is your power, is your hand that you're going to use, take your left hand, put it out there, and show your palm, okay, and say stop. Not in a nice way, but scream, okay, stop, okay, and you'll see that animal it's going to stop, but it might continue to go forward, okay. You just back, you just slowly back away, okay, and continue to scream, stop. They tell you that if you're in the woods with a bear, what do you do? Do you run from a bear? No. Do you run from a cougar? No. Okay. There's no. You stand your ground. Okay. And if you, just like a guy's going to hurt you, if you think he's going to win the battle, then I tell people, take him with you. Take him with you. Do whatever you can. Take him with you. Okay. Don't let him kill you and then go out and kill someone else or go to prison, get a square meal for 10 days. Hard fun.
All right. You hit the nail right on the nose. Last question. Well said, by the way. El Chapo, did you ever have any experience or, investigated or know somebody that investigated him before he went to jail?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, most of these. Let me tell you right now, most of these. What I see today, talking to young guys, they're in the law enforcement. The ones that are causing problems, man. Their rap sheet. It means their criminal history, right? It's longer than their legs. They're doing it over and over and over. We got a problem, okay? We don't take responsibility for our actions. Oh, I'm mentally disturbed. Oh, I'm on dope when I killed her. I didn't know I was. I'm sorry. I was just, confused. My daddy beat me with a stick. My mama kicked me around like a dog. You know what, man? Enough is enough. We got to take responsibility for our actions, and just ask God, forgive me for what I have done. And then you pay, man. You pay the price. Let me tell you something real quick, man. Hope I got 1 minute with you because I know my wife. I grew up on a farm, okay, in Kentucky, and
What part? What part?
I remember, huh?
What part of Kentucky?
A place called Taylorsville,
Okay.
Taylorsville. We call it Taylorsville. Taylorsville. Uh, my dad gave me a shotgun when I was 12 years old for my birthday, Christmas gift, and I knew how to kill. We ate the food, rabbits and squirrels and things like that. But one day, my dog, beautiful dog, we called him Pepper. He was a German Shepherd. We found Pepper. He had blood all over his face, all over his face. And it turned out to be he tried to kill our neighbor's pig. Now, now your audience
Oh.
probably out there. A pig is someone's food on the table, ma'am. If you grew up the way we grew up, okay, that's going to be your ham on the table with your eggs from your chickens, right? We didn't have this welfare and government gimme, gimme, gimme.
Go ahead.
You're laughing, but ma'am, it's true. This is all true. I wrote
I
a book about it.
know. Yeah.
It's
I
called Home
love
is Never the Same. My daddy said, "Go in there, get your shotgun." No, he said, "Take the rope." Okay, we put the rope around Pepper's neck. And Dad said, Dad went in the house. He came out with my shotgun. Can you believe that? My Christmas, my shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
While I was out there, Pepper couldn't talk in words, but he talked to me in his eyes. Pepper knew he was going to die. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, so they got into a fight, and he has it's his blood. I
No,
thought it was
no, man. He tried to kill the hog. He tried to kill the pig. He was
right.
playing with the pig and he bit down on it. And I seen the pig. He lost his leg because he tastes blood, man. Okay.
Yeah.
And so my dad took him in the woods, and I was praying Dad would never shoot my dog, but he did. He came back without Pepper. I wrote about it. And but see, Pepper knew he was going to die, okay, because he knew he crossed the line. Dad took him out in the woods, shot him. My grandpa told me many years ago, we're sitting on the wood pile, man. You have to understand what I'm this way I grew up in Kentucky, whether it's Alabama, Tennessee, or upstate New York, or somewhere in Washington, okay? My grandpa told me, he said, once an animal, your dog, or whatever, tastes blood, okay? He's no good anymore. You got a choice. You could put a chain around his neck and lock him up the rest of his life. You got a choice with a human being once he tastes blood. Killed. And sit there and now he's making a movie out of it or whatever. That person, man, you got a choice. Put him in jail, let him stay the rest of his life like an animal, or give him the freedom and let him pay for the price what he's done. Okay. Ma'am, you just can't kill another human being. You can't take a child, man. You just can't take a child and do a child that way without some kind of actions or responsibility. I'm not a perfect guy. I'm not. Someone can be knocking on my door. They can do what they want to do. All right. But God is my judge. Okay. When that time comes. Anyway, man.
Sorry, what happened to Pepper? I didn't know. I didn't know the whole story. I thought it like he just attacked the pig, and that's somebody's dinner. But I didn't know the pig attacked him, or however.
No. Ma'am, I when you listen, don't you be sorry. Like me, when I'm smiling here because I know what's beyond this crazy world we're living in. Okay, I've seen a lot of stuff we have working narcotics. Ma'am, it's filthy. It's dirty out there. There are victims out there. There's people dying because of narcotics. And for me, sit here and smile about it. I don't smile like I smile because I know something is better than this crazy life. And Pepper, what I'm trying to say, animals are animals. Human beings, God made us, but we've got animals. I mean, we're what we do to human beings. I show a slide. My wife, I showed a slide to my classroom, and it's a torso, man. And the ones that really understand the torso when they see it, okay, ma'am, it's real. It's torso. And it's the Marines. It's people from the military, especially the Marines. They look at it right away. They know it's a torso. No arms, no legs, just torso. No head, nothing. But the other half of the classroom, they're made up of civilians, young people. They only see things like that on TV. But now they're getting a class from me because it's a real world. The next thing I was talking about, were they alive or were they dead when they were being cut apart? Okay. By then, half that audience that has no experience about life, except getting drugs and molested children or hurting women or whatever, they were alive. Then the very last slide, I said, what country you think this happened in? Of course, the people in the military know exactly where it happened. But then the civilians, I call civilians, okay, people that don't have experience in life, no military, whatever. Oh, it happened in Afghanistan. It happened in Iraq. No, it happened in Mexico.
Oh,
in
oh, I
Tijuana.
was wrong. I thought it happened here. It happened in
Oh
Mexico.
no, it does. It does. It can. Yes, it does, man. They do it all the time. But I just want to show something, uh, how we're so compassionate about human life, about letting people come in our country, and what they're doing. What are they doing now? People are finally waking up. Like, wow, they're all the stuff we don't have for our own. We can't go to the hospitals. Our children took it for granted. Okay, my wife came back again, ma'am. She's saying, "Hey, enough is enough."
Okay.
She
How
didn't say
can the
that. Okay,
It's okay. How can
okay,
the
go
people
ahead, Walt.
find
All right, ma'am. I
how can
hope
the
I see.
people
Go ahead.
how can the people find you?
It's go to LarryRayHardin.com. www.LarryRayHardin.com. There's everything there, ma'am, on me. My
Thanks.
agent, Dinah DeMille, she's done a great job of putting everything together for me, and the two PIs I worked with. One of them's dead now, but the other one's he's still kicking. He's still eating chicken. He's still kicking. But anyway, uh,
Thank
all
you
right, man.
so much.
You
You
take care of
take
yourself. You hear me?
and I'm sending you your footage right away, okay?
Ma'am, you take care of yourself and God be with you. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Learn what I just said. Don't let anyone come up and hurt you. You hear me?
Yes.
All right, ma'am. I hope I see you again.
Okay, I will. We will.
All right. All
Tell
right,
your
ma'am.
wife I say hi.
She said, go ahead and get started exercising. All right.
Bye bye.